This video is sponsored by Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe. If a fungal plague killed all the animals and you weren't vegan, what would you do to survive? Would you tirelessly struggle to keep your corn crops alive? Or would you eat the freshly charred, succulent, tender meat off the quite plentiful numbers of two-legged animals? The Freemans are among the last of the surviving farming communities left after the famine and civil wars. Problem is, there's just not enough food to go around, which means those starving have resorted to cannibalism. The Freemans have the setup, the guns, the food stores, the protocols, vehicles, cameras, you name it. But do they have the brains? I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the animal fungus in 40 acres. 14 years ago, a fungal pandemic decimated 98% of the animal biosphere. 12 years ago, a second civil war broke out as a result of the global food chain collapse. 11 years ago, famine spread across the planet. 2 to 3 whole years before there was rioting in the streets over food shortages? More like 2 weeks. Now, the most valuable resource is bullets. Farmland. That's why this group of thugs is raiding a cornfield. Their plan? Walk menacingly up to the property, then stand bunched up in the open, surrounded by occupied buildings on all sides. With guns drawn, they're going to announce their arrival and politely ask for some corn, while guys with machetes and guns slip to the flanks, completely giving away their true intentions, which were obvious from the jump, considering the decade-long food shortage and the consequent violent warring that's been pretty commonplace everywhere. Naturally, it goes about how you'd expect. On the positive side, fewer mouths to feed. The raiders retreat into the fields where Ramona, Taylor, and Annie are waiting to ambush. Ramona sneaks up behind one goon and whacks his spine with a machete, snags his revolver, and dome shots another unsuspecting raider who was hard ADSing with a 70 FOV setting and tinted aviators in the depths of a cornfield. Noob. Ramona seems to have really found an outlet for her mental illness and past grievances. Good for her. Her son blindly throws an axe from 20 feet behind rows of crops and splits Dale like a coconut. Unlikely. And her daughter's playing tunnel freeze tag with a full-grown killer, miraculously slithering up to his feet within the field of dreams, then head-tapping him from the supine position with a 38 special. Unlikely. Just when Rain's about to snipe the last one, God Emmanuel's gotta be the hero, running down the last man and shanking him with his own pocket knife. He didn't have a radio and didn't know that Private Rain had to drop from her eagle's nest. Well, that was the last of them. Nerd, you're not safe. There's someone in your house. You need to get out right now. Just kidding.
I almost had him.
But how would you know? You probably don't have a real security system. Maybe a cheap camera with a blind spot, or a door jamb that you hope keeps the maintenance man's toes out of your mouth. You need a complete system. You need Simply Safe. When I leave, one press on the keypad sends the lockup signal. Deadbolts rotate. The system arms against threats, foreign and domestic. Exterior cameras activate with AI to tell friend from foe. The doorbell cam spots packages, knife salesmen, or friends. Interior cams keep an eye on sketchy garage deliveries. Contact sensors alert if somebody crowbars a window. Glass break sensors if they smash in. Motion sensors track if they've given up or they're thirsty for more. With pet detection, so Toast doesn't trigger a sheriff SWAT raid. 105 decibel sirens to scare them off and alert neighbors. Simply Safe's got your hazards covered too. Water sensors catch leaks, temp sensors warn of frozen pipes, smart smoke and carbon monoxide detectors save your dog when you're not home to hear the beeps. The coolest part is that if the camera doesn't recognize my face or anyone in my approved library, temporary. Or if I hear a bump in the night, I can press the panic button and Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection kicks in, with high-speed operators monitoring the situation for you and dispatching the required emergency services, whether flood, fire, break-in, or someone's fallen and they can't get up. When I get home, I could easily disarm the defense with the keypad app or key fob. It's a good feeling knowing your home, loved ones, and sick gaming computer is protected. I've partnered with Simply Safe to get you 50% off of a new system.
Damn good deal.
Plus your first month free with professional monitoring. Head to simplysafe.com/nerdexplains to get Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe. When Emmanuel pulls the ski mask off, oh no, it was a woman trying to kill them instead of a man. His empathetic tizzy about the gender of their attackers cut short by his little sister proudly shouting that she blew a dude's brains out. Ramona scolds her for it, telling her to use her blade next time because bullets don't grow on trees. Jesus Christ. I already can't stand this movie or Ramona. Gonna be a tough one. Does she have to play an oppressively idiotic mother in every movie? Use her blade? She's like 10 years old at most, and you want her to attack a full-grown man holding a shotgun with a knife. You weren't even there. You have no idea what the situation was. It's not like this guy was drunk on the john. I guarantee you, if she tried to kill him with a knife, she would have a big hole where her heart used to be. Bullets don't grow on trees. She wasn't plinking at squirrels, moron. What are you saving bullets for? This is literally the time when you use your bullets, when armed thugs are trying to kill you all.
You stupid.
Unfortunately, I'm sure Ramona's gonna survive the entire movie because she's such a bad survivor. You can tell because she has that smug sociopathic smirk on her face all the time. Just then, the woman Emmanuel shanked starts coughing up blood.
Oh, she's alive!
Yes, praise the Lord! Praise the Lord!
What'd I tell you about the cussing?
Language is your concern. Really, after your daughter celebrated a headshot like a teenage boy playing Fortnite, and your older son had just stabbed a chick to death, almost, which your preteen daughter made fun of for him missing her heart.
You always miss the heart.
Okay, if I was Galen, I'd have fragged this domineering idiot by now like Rick did Shane in The Walking Dead. 44 to the head makes your nightmares disappear. They all break off to clean up bodies, collect weapons, and take inventory. And Haley, aka Ramona, tells Manny to finish her off. So he pulls his pistol out and fires one of the precious bullets into her skull. Nothing from Ramona about wasting around on the execution. Makes sense. Later that night at the dinner table, Ramona makes a fuss that her subjects still haven't read the book she assigned them, The Proletarian's Pocketbook, a collection of teachings from revolutionary figures like Mao, Lenin, Stalin, Karl Marx, MLK, and Tupac, on the value of communism, dismantling capitalism, revolting against systemic racism, and feminist liberation against the patriarchy. The material is, in her view, highly relevant to their post-apocalyptic world, which has no functioning power structures aside from the authoritarian regime that she imposes over her household. The next day, they plant, harvest, patrol, exercise, train martial arts, shoot old cell phones for target practice with bullets they intelligently rationed during the raid, and Ramona operates the security camera system with radios. Wait, they have an entire security camera system and an electrified perimeter wire and still didn't see those raiders coming in broad daylight? I believe that was your job, Ramona. Sure are using a lot of gas and electricity for a family struggling to get by 14 years after the world slammed to a halt and existing fuel degraded. Crazy, considering she couldn't even keep the lights on back when civilization and the grid were still running. Maybe they've got a secret ethanol operation going on and modified the engines to run off of it, which could work, I suppose? I don't know. I'm not an ethanol farmer. Emmanuel rides off to a midpoint depot where there's an organized dead drop to exchange supplies with a local community codenamed Augusta, which isn't ideal because Haley just received news over the radio that a huge huge pack of cannibals is roaming the area and's already eaten the poor family at a neighboring community. I don't know, looks like Emmanuel's not doing too bad. No chance this baddie's a cannibal. Still, Manny does the smart thing. Hides behind some bushes and scopes her out from a distance. Looks like a new trading location's been unlocked. He rides back to Camp Freeman and reports his discovery. Haley and Galen shoot it down, insisting that they don't need anything from anyone. Their camp is self-sufficient, and opening themselves up to other communities would only risk what they've built. Still, the thirst is too strong. The guy's been cranking out triple C thick charcoal sketches, plural, as in a whole picture book of her from every angle. Only a matter of time before this dude blows off a patrol duty to go swimming with his mermaid and gets everyone killed. On another routine supply depot run with Sarge, Denise, and Manny, they run into a group of people hanging from the rafters. Then are ambushed by supposedly Union soldiers on support duty of a local farming community network. And then a couple farmers come up behind them too. When Sarge asks if they were helping guard the Flemings' property, the soldier says yes. Wrong answer. What I don't get is that these thugs had no intention of letting the Freemans live, so why not just gun them down immediately while they hesitated? Why walk out into the open, put your guns down, and allow yourself to get interrogated at gunpoint with questions that you are unlikely to answer correctly? This is strictly a shoot-first situation. And as for the Freemans, if you're gonna loot the bodies, you better triple tap them first, or at least have Manny or Sarge cover you while you do. Otherwise, this might happen. Oof. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Well, whatever Dora the Explorer band-aid they put on her seems to have stabilized her condition. I'm assuming that those were through and through shots because I didn't see no pliers. Manny's beating himself up over Danny getting shot, considering it was his decision to loot the bodies. That's why he's smoking in the cemetery while gazing at the stars. And it's a good thing too. Otherwise, he wouldn't have heard a twig snap and blazed through the dark forest with his high beams on, where he finds none other than his crush at their electrified gate, all bloodied up and begging for help. I don't know what happened with that, whether Manny's got her hiding in a shed or something.
It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
But the next thing we know is they're having a family meeting to strategize. The plan is simple. Do literally the exact same thing that they've been doing, which is to turtle up and kill anyone that comes sniffing around their property. Yup, I knew it. He stashed her in the shed. No way those little twine ropes keep her locked up for more than 5 minutes after you leave. I'm not sure what the solution is here because Haley just said to shoot first because no outsider can be trusted at this point, and Haley could very well slit this chick's throat. I think what Manny should have done is immediately press her for useful information. Manny saved her life, supposedly, so the absolute least that she can do is be candid and forthcoming. If she can provide intel on what happened to her community, who she is, who attacked, what weapons and supplies they had, and likely attacker strength and locations, Manny can take that to the family. Her putting her good foot forward would go a long way towards ensuring her survival, but her stubborn refusal to answer a single one of Manny's questions is making her look pretty suspicious. At that point, I'd take her to trial by counsel and let her fend for herself. I know you think that she's super hot, but Haley's right. You don't know her, and your simping could easily get them all killed. While he's stitching her up, Haley's out in the woods by herself, blind firing into the woods, getting encircled by a band of predators. You would think that this would warrant a full hands-on-deck, 24-hour perimeter guard. But no, better drop all defenses to gather round the dinner table for their nightly slop, while getting berated by Haley for doing literally nothing.
What makes you think you got a choice? You think that's funny? Fine, no need. Was I unclear?
I think he was just...
No, he can answer for himself.
But you wouldn't know, because none of you was in your position when I called.
Everyone at the table's catching strays, even Sarge. Jesus Christ, great leadership. I'm sure the morale at Camp Freeman's high, motivated and fired up after that pep talk. Maybe instead of getting livid at little Susie for spitting out a bad chunk of corn, you should inform everyone about the strangers skulking around your property and get up in the watchtower.
But you can't be laid up in there like this too much longer. You gotta fight.
Wow, she actually stormed upstairs to berate the unconscious Denise for being lazy, not a day after getting double tapped in the gut by a 9mm.
Rest when we're dead.
It's not like she's been out milking it hobbling around for weeks. Denise is in critical vegetable condition and could pass away any night now. Manny sneaks back out to the shed for a second attempt to pull info out of his prisoner.
You know you got some pretty major trust issues.
I have trust issues? No. It's the post-apocalypse. Famine, desperation, rampant warring's been going on for a decade. We were attacked by a dozen armed raiders a week ago. And yesterday, dudes posing as Union soldiers tried to kill us and sent Danny to the main menu. There are cannibal hordes roaming around eating entire families left and right. You yourself appeared to have been viciously attacked and were fleeing from something which, for some insane reason, you're being all guarded about. What an absolutely insane thing to say to the guy who took your bloody ass in. I don't much care for this gaslighting damsel in distress bull. Either you give me something right now, or you're going in the well. The next words out of her mouth are, "Please let me use the radio. Why are you keeping me here?"
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Yeah, sure, let me hand over my radio to an enemy scout so you can flip the frequency to your home base and hit them with the code word for attack. Let me think about it. No. Why am I keeping you here? Because you now know about our location, our numbers, weapons, defenses, perimeter fence, because we don't know you at all, what happened to you, or if you're a threat. I know this is being set up as a big twist that she's actually a good person, but holy hell, nobody innocent should be acting this way. And if they did, they'd be lucky if a softie like Manny's holding them prisoner, because anyone else, like Haley, would have smoked her already, as she's too much of a threat to keep around. I'm gonna start pistol whipping you if the next words out of your mouth are not clear, honest, and descriptive. It gets sketchier. When he asks how she found them, she said she followed the creek. As Manny responds, the creek's a ways away from the farm. When she tells him that she was searching for the Freeman farm because her aunt said that they were the only ones that could help, well, that was enough for Manny to completely untie her and let her loose. Did bro hit his head or something? It's like he forgot that people lie. Her story keeps changing. First, she didn't know who Manny was and just stumbled onto the camp by following the creek. Later, she says she actually knew Manny, having seen him swimming there before. Now she claims her aunt knows the Freemans and told her that they were the only ones that could help.
See, now that's some bullshit.
Cool, well, let's go talk to Haley then. For your supposed aunt to trust the Freemans that much, she'd have to be familiar with them. Familiar enough that Haley would immediately recognize her name and would probably remember her mentioning a niece. At this point, we can't keep her locked up much longer, and letting her go isn't an option, especially when her intent was to find us anyway. She's gotta meet the family. Better for him to bring her to Haley than for Haley to find out on her own. Oh no, Haley and Sarge found them. Like being habitually gone in the shed, dancing with a chick was ever gonna end any other way. I'll give Haley one thing. She is good at getting answers out of people.
I'm gonna ask you some questions. And if I smell one whiff of bull, your brain's gonna be fertilized all over my fields.
Her name is Dawn Taylor. She's a volunteer nurse attached to a government program sent out to help farms in need of medical support. Her group was 12 strong before they were attacked by non-uniformed ragtag raiders. Her aunt, Augusta Taylor, told her to find the Freemans by following the river down. The same August that Haley's been talking to over the radio for years. That wasn't so hard, now was it? I mean, come on. Maybe start with all that before someone has to stick a pistol in your mouth. Now, knowing there's a cannibal militia out whacking farmers and hearing radio silence on the airwaves, the plan is simple. Do literally the exact same thing that they've been doing. But nope. Manny and Dawn ride for Augusta to help them, while Haley rides out too, further splitting up the family. Nice. Well, it's about that time when they're thoroughly split up that Dawn drops a bomb on Manny. The raiders captured her family and made her go to the Freeman farm to tell them that they had her aunt, so they'd split up and come there. She follows up with an astute revelation. That's how they've been taking over the farms, by holding people's families hostage. Gee, and it didn't occur to you what happened to the hostages after they took over the next farm? You think that they let them go? go. No, they ended up in the latrine hole once the cannibals digested all the nutrients from their flesh. And now you doomed yourself, our family, and any semblance of a chance at getting revenge on those who've already murdered your family.
I needed to save my people.
There's no safety, you dumb.
Haley finds a storage garage full of body-filled barrels, as well as a map marking every farm in the vicinity. Someone's done their homework. Either that, or the idiots who ran this farm created a gigantic intel liability of a map. Doesn't matter right now. Whoever chopped up those bodies is probably still nearby, so we should get out. I don't even know what Haley's goal was here. To see if they were all dead? I could have told you that. Hell, you just told Manny that Augusta could handle herself and that it was too risky. You even agreed with Galen's warning that this was probably a trap. So why go yourself? All you're doing is putting yourself in danger and leaving the farm even more vulnerable. Haven't you learned from Denise's mistake? Never loot an uncleared space. Let's see how Sarge is doing. Apparently, a perimeter camera was disconnected, so he decided to ride out by himself to check it out. When he sees what appears to be an animal rummaging, he's so distracted by it that he doesn't hear a thug walking up behind him with a bat.
I'm dreaming.
Bro got duped by a furry in a Bigfoot costume. You know, when my home security camera gets tripped, I don't put my slippers and robe on and trudge around the side yard looking for trouble. I grab my piece, then wait for whoever's out there to show themselves. It's actually hilarious that this dude thought dressing up as a juicy meat-packed animal during a global famine to bait out a man with a rifle was a good idea. Those prions must be ravaging your brain, so let me help you. Put the deer head on a stick, not your own head. That way, when the dude snipes it for food, the bullet does not blow your brains out. Anyone else besides Sarge wouldn't have hesitated to take a shot on an animal like that. God, I love these movies. They show a family with a legit setup. A fully stocked armory, protocols, camera systems, radios, crops, vehicles, and they're all complete idiots with zero situational awareness or strategic thinking. You expect me to believe that these people survived a decade of intense civil warring.
I'm dreaming.
Same goes for the cannibals. You loosely stake his hands into the soft soil, and when he wakes up and starts to struggle, you take a bite out of his arm. Finish tying him up first, whack him in the head again. Put him face down first before staking his hands so he has less muscular power to pull the stake out. Rain better start stacking mags on the windowsill because it's gonna be a firefight. Good shots. Hard to tell, but definitely start with the ones holding the guns first. Then clean up the guys holding the sharpened garden spades. The Freemans really should have sandbagged to that position given how often raiders charged through the open field straight at it. Now free, Sarge tells Rain to fall back to the bunker and uses one of their secret tunnels to meet up with her. Inside, she tells him that Denise is hiding in his closet. Sarge gears up, pulls his knife out, then radios to Rain to drop the steel shutters and knock out the lights, because Bravo 6 is going dark. Dude absolutely dices up the raiders. What I want to know is, why didn't they drop the steel shutters before they came in? Whatever. Seems they've got a handle on the situation. I wonder how Haley's doing. Not good. When the guard comes back to saw her leg off, she chokes him out, grabs his rifle, mows down the leader, and hey, Manny arrived with Dawn and a bunch of kids. They drive back home, slip through the fence, and cross the open prairie directly in front of the only lamplight in the area, silhouetting themselves on the horizon for the raiders who were most likely already at the property. Thank God they brought the fodder along to soak up most of the shots. Haley shoots her AR up into the air instead of returning fire at the people shooting at them, telling Manny to get to the bunker while she draws their fire away. Rain spots a couple of raiders trying to burn the place down, so she opens the door and lets them in.
Well, come on inside and get yourself something cool to drink.
Why not just open the door and shoot them with one of the 50 machine guns that you had in the armory 10 steps away? My God.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
take Sarge's plate carrier, rock a fresh mag into that AK, have the little girl open the door while you take up a barricaded fighting position with a clear line of sight to the door. They'd be Swiss cheese, and you wouldn't be putting yourself in an absurdly vulnerable, precarious position like you're about to. Maybe in her head she's thinking that they'll want to keep them alive for meat, giving them a chance to fight back, which is incredibly stupid, because there's a dozen dead bodies upstairs that they could already harvest, plus all the food stores the Freemans have stocked up. Rain and Sarge have been too dangerous to keep alive. They also have no idea who's in the bunker, so they're walking into an unknown situation with an unknown adversary. If I were the raider, I would just start shooting. I wouldn't let Rain and the girl stand behind a table with their hands down. I wouldn't assume the woman on the table is actually critical, and I wouldn't do anything else until they were face down in a corner, tied up and checked for weapons. Then I would search the rest of the place, because it is highly unlikely that Rain killed half a dozen men in pitch black hand-to-hand combat without so much as a bead of sweat on her face, which means there could be others in here. The raider girl gets distracted by a jar of oregano. This gives Sarge an opportunity to Tarantino her with the pump. Then Rain squeezes trig on her 1911.
Eat this mother.
You picked the most unreliable, gummed up piece of junk in your arsenal to felon carry? That's not even entirely a knock on the 1911. Sarge had given her this pistol after finding it in the field a few days earlier, and he straight up told her that it was in 93% degraded condition with about a coin flip chance of firing when she needed it. Thankfully, the idiot decided to go after his machete first, giving her a second to tap and rack it before blowing the dude's head off. Why didn't the little girl and Denise stuff pistols in their pockets too? Seems like more of you having stashed weapons would be a good idea. Manny and Don's crew successfully fight their way to the bunker, where Rain's still holding the dogged out 100-year-old pistol with a 7-round mag, instead of one of the modern assault rifles collecting dust in their armory. Why is that tunnel door unlocked anyways? Why is there no secret special knock sequence to alert those inside that you're friendly? Manny heads out to find Haley. She's going all out in last stand mode. But it's not enough. The last guy's about to bury his machete in her skull when, of course, Manny arrives to save the day. She's messed up, Sarge is messed up. It's a good thing Don's a nurse. Ultimately, everyone that mattered survived. The cannibal threat was totally defeated, the family grew, Manny got his babe, and Haley finally learned how to smile. And with that, the cannibals in 40 acres were beaten. Moral of the story, make friends with the farmer so you don't starve when the animal fungus hits.